The Royal Cartographers Guild kept its oldest secrets in damp basements like this. Leto scraped mold from a forgotten logbook, unaware that today he would uncover one they'd buried for centuries. His blade caught an edge beneath the brittle parchment. A hidden map layer emerged, a landmass no official chart had ever shown.
Trade routes, coastal settlements, this is a continent, meticulously mapped. How can it not exist?
Leto copied the essential outlines with shaking hands, then sprinted to the guild hall, clutching the discovery that could redefine the known world. But the guild elders did not share his wonder. Elder Voss received the map with a hand that stopped Leto's words cold.
This is a known forgery. Apprentice, we are not amused by childish hoaxes. Forget you ever saw it.
But Elder, the ink is centuries old. The trade routes are detailed. This cannot be a forgery. Let me prove it.
You will not speak of this again. Return to your duties and be grateful we overlook this breach of protocol. Dismissed.
Leto was expelled from the hall, the map confiscated. The guild's denial was absolute, but the tremor in his hands spoke of a deeper truth they wanted buried.
They're lying. Why would they hide an entire continent unless they benefit from keeping it a secret?
That evening, Leto returned to find his door kicked in, his room ransacked, papers strewn like fallen leaves, drawers ripped out. He searched desperately. His desk drawer was empty. Every scrap of his map research had disappeared.
My money pouch is still here. They only took my notes on the continent. This was no random theft. They wanted to erase the evidence, to make sure I can never prove what I saw.
A cold dread washed over him. The guild hadn't just silenced him, they had invaded his sanctuary to wipe his memory clean.
They're showing me they can reach me anytime. Next time, it'll be more than paper.
Near the door, a torn piece of his tunic sleeve hung on a splinter, deliberately placed as a calling card.
A warning. Forget, or else I am not safe in this city anymore.
He pulled the fabric free and clutched it. The guild's shadow now lived inside his own room. That night, sleep never came. He sat against the wall, clutching the torn sleeve, the silence heavy with unspoken threats. The next day, Leto navigated the guild corridors like a man walking through a den of lions. Every echo of footsteps tightened his chest, and the memory of his ransacked room clung to him like a second skin. Then a hand clamped onto his arm. Archivist Kira yanked him into the shadow of a pillar, her spectacles glinting with reflected fear.
Listen carefully. 3 cartographers before you uncovered the same continent. All were reassigned and never seen again. You are the 4th.
Reassigned? You mean they were eliminated?
The guild calls it reassignment. I call it a shallow grave. I've seen the internal orders myself, marked confidential, then destroyed. If you value your life, you will forget what you saw. Pretend you believe the forgery story. Please.
And if I can't pretend?
Then you'll disappear like the others. I am risking my position telling you this. Swear to me you'll stop.
Leto looked into her earnest, terrified face and gave the only answer that would let her leave without a burden. He swore he would let it go, his voice as flat as a winter sea.
I'll swear it, but I won't mean a word. They've killed for this secret. That means it's worth dying to expose. I need to see those vaults for myself.
When the guild bell tolled midnight, Leto stole a lantern from the supply closet and descended the spiraling stone steps toward the forbidden vaults, his shadow stretching like a guilty secret. The iron door loomed ahead, its lock ancient but well maintained. With a bent wire and a cartographer's steady hand, he teased the tumblers open. The vault air was cold and dead. Before him stretched a wall of identical iron cabinets, each sealed with crimson wax like a line of closed tombs.
More than 20 cabinets. All sealed. How many maps have they buried down here? This isn't suppression, it's a graveyard.
He chose a cabinet near the center, its number worn away by time. The seal cracked under his chisel with a sound that echoed like a gunshot in the silence.
No turning back now. If anyone heard that, I am already dead. Let the dead speak.
His fingers, numb with cold and fear, drew out a rolled parchment. The paper crackled as he unfurled it on the stone floor, the same continental outline he had discovered above. But here it was marked with crisp, official precision, and stamped in bleeding red ink, eradicated from official record. Leto's hands trembled. The Guild hadn't just denied a continent, they had systematically erased it, and he was now holding the proof in his ink-stained fingers. He opened the next cabinet, then another, his hands moving with frantic disbelief. Each drawer yielded the same silent accusation, the same damning stamp.
The same coastline, the same trade route markings. It's not a single buried secret, it's an archive of them.
Some stamps bore dates 2 decades old. The ink of the oldest was nearly 30 years dry. This was a tradition, not a recent panic.
They've been erasing this continent since before I was born. How many cartographers figured it out? How many died for this?
Drawers gaped open like silent mouths. Maps spilled across the floor, each one a testament to a crime repeated and refined.
Every one of these was drawn by someone who believed in maps, and then someone else decided the world shouldn't see it.
The systematic suppression was staggering, not random censorship, but a deliberate, decades-long campaign to shape geography itself.
The Guild isn't just hiding a landmass, it's controlling what people think they know. That's true power.
Leto knelt among the paper ruins, the weight of history pressing down on him. But beneath the horror, a cold resolve began to harden.
This map will not stay buried. Even if it costs my life, the truth will see the sun.
With trembling urgency, Leto unfolded a scrap of parchment and began copying the forbidden coastline, the ink barely holding in the near-empty bottle.
Footsteps, heavy, methodical, coming down the corridor. Someone's checking the vaults. Someone's checking the vaults.
He snuffed the candle and pressed himself behind the nearest iron cabinet, the cold metal biting his back through the thin tunic. The vault door creaked open. The beam of a fresh lantern cut through the darkness, landing on the broken seals.
Someone's been in here. The seals are broken, several drawers gaping open. This is a breach. Elder Voss will want a full report immediately.
Heavy boots approached the very cabinet. Leto hid behind, stopping inches from his face.
If he looks down, I am finished.
Rylan paused, then grunted as if dismissing a nuisance. He turned and walked away, his lantern light fading into the corridor.
He's gone, but the Guild will tighten patrols. I am no longer just a curious apprentice. I am a fugitive hiding in their most guarded vault.
Leto remained frozen, the slight tremor of the map in his hands the only movement in the stifling dark. Once, Ryland's steps faded. Leto forced his frozen limbs to move. He finished the rough copy, the ink bleeding in his haste. He smeared the original stamp with dust, hoping to disguise the tampering as natural decay.
I hear them coming back. I have to leave now. No more time.
He slipped through the iron door just as a fresh lantern beam swept the corridor's far end. Then he ran through the stone arteries of the Guild, his footfalls swallowed by the pre-dawn silence. He found a forgotten storage closet, a dust-filled hole from his first months as an apprentice, and squeezed inside.
The map is safe, but the Guild will know someone was in the vault.
The Guild would not overlook this breach. By morning, the entire compound would become a cage.
I have to get this map out of the Guild before they find me.
Leto clutched the copied map to his chest, the ink still drying, and waited for the dawn that would make him a hunted man. Dawn broke with the clamor of bells, the Guild alarms spreading like fire through dry grass. Leto crept out of the closet, blending into the early morning chaos of servants and scholars. He slipped through the city streets, head down, until he reached a forgotten ruin on the outer ward, a chapel shattered by time, its roof open to the sky.
No one comes here. I can plan my next move in the chapel's shadows, but the map, it's on cheap parchment. One rainstorm and the ink bleeds away.
As he huddled among the broken pews, a soft footstep made him freeze. Kira emerged from behind a fallen pillar. a canvas roll cradled in her arms.
I knew you wouldn't stop. I followed the patrol patterns. You left a trail only an archivist would notice.
Kira, you shouldn't be here. If they find you with me...
She didn't flinch. Instead, she pressed the canvas into his hands, weatherproof sailcloth, and a vial of ink that could survive salt water.
I've carried this guilt for years. I saw the stamps but feared to act. Now you've given me a chance. Copy the map onto this. Then get it to Port Varusha. Only their merchants have the spine to challenge the capital's monopoly.
Leto looked from the canvas to Kira's steady gaze. He was no longer alone, but now her fate was tied to his. The price of an ally was an unbearable new burden. That night, Leto lit every candle stub he could scavenge and spread the canvas on the chapel floor. The ruined altar became his drafting table under a roof of stars. He transferred every line of the forbidden coastline with a cartographer's precision, his ink-stained fingers moving as if guided by the truth itself. By the small hours, the canvas had become a twin to the guild's secret, a durable, weatherproof map fit for a sea voyage.
These trade routes, they don't just link coastal outposts. This thick vein goes straight to the Imperial capital.
His brush froze. The road pierced the heart of the Empire, and a sickening realization crawled up his spine.
The capital is complicit. The guild isn't hiding a continent, it's bleeding it dry for the throne.
The map was no longer a geographic curiosity. It was evidence of Imperial corruption, a weapon that could shatter the fragile peace between rival powers. He finished the last stroke as dawn light bled through the broken rose window. Then he rolled the canvas tightly and hid it beneath a loose flagstone.
If this reaches Port Varusha, it could start a war, or end a tyranny. Either way, I've lit a fuse.
Leto leaned against the cold stone, his body exhausted, but his spirit sharpened to a fine edge. The ink was dry, the reckoning was already set in motion.
I can't waste a second. The caravan leaves at dawn. I'll need a disguise and a path through the market that avoids the main thoroughfares.
He tore the sleeves from his tunic, smeared dirt on his face, and slipped into the early market crowd, his scholar's posture melting into the shuffle of the forgotten.
Just another beggar. Don't meet their eyes. The canvas in my vest is a bomb. I have to stay invisible.
Then he saw him. Rylan, flanked by two enforcers, was shaking a merchant by the collar. Their questioning had the cruel efficiency of a manhunt.
They're barely a stall away. One wrong step, and he'll recognize me.
He slid between two stalls and pressed himself into the shadow of a narrow alcove, his breath ragged in the tight space. When the voices faded, he risked a look. Rylan had moved on. The way to the east gate lay open. The eastern gate loomed ahead, wagons already being loaded under the eye of the dawn sun.
The Varushan wagon will have a blue sail. I've got to spot it without drawing eyes. So many guards.
Leto melted into the shadow of a baker's cart, watching the gate. The canvas map was a stone in his vest, heavy with consequence. A harsh shout cut through the market noise. Two enforcers dragged a familiar figure through the gate. Archivist Kira, her glasses knocked askew, her hands bound.
Number. They caught Kira. This is a trap. They're using her to draw me out.
Her eyes swept the crowd and locked onto his hiding spot. Her lips formed a single, silent word. Run.
Leto, I know you are watching. Surrender now, or your friend here pays for every second you hide.
If I move, I am dead, and the map dies with me. I can't save her. I can't save her. I can't.
His heart screamed to rush out, but his legs refused. The canvas map pressed against his chest, a cold reminder of the cost of truth. Rylan waited, his eyes scanning the crowd. When no one came forward, he yanked Kira's bonds and dragged her toward the guild compound.
Forgive me, Kira. I am choosing the world over one life, and I hate myself for it.
He bit his fist until he tasted blood, forcing his gaze away from the vanishing blue of her robes. When the tears cleared, his gaze locked onto the caravan. The mission would proceed, but it would carry the weight of her sacrifice. He slipped through the gate behind a grain cart, the canvas map hard against his ribs, his beggar's cloak blending with laborers. Belly down, he crawled beneath the wagons, inch by gritty inch, the axles groaning overhead.
Blue sail. There. The Varusian textile wagon, packed with wool, perfect to hide the canvas.
He reached up between the slats, pushing the canvas deep into a crate of rough spun wool. A guard's boots passed inches from his face. He froze, breath trapped in his chest. He gave the canvas a final push, and a puff of flour dust bloomed from the crate. The guard's steps halted. The guard turned, spear lowering, and peered under the wagon. Leto's eyes met his own reflection in the polished boot. A merchant's shout, a dispute over tariffs, snapped the guard's head away. He muttered and strode off. Leto exhaled, but didn't dare move. The map was hidden, but he was still a breath from discovery. Above him, the driver took his seat. The caravan stirred to life, and Leto was trapped beneath it. With a grunt, Leto rolled out from under the wagon just as the guard turned back, his spear lowering. A shout tore through the yard. This was no hiding, this was escape. From across the gate, Ryland's head snapped up. He locked eyes with Leto and pointed, his order cutting the morning like a blade.
There, the apprentice. Seal the gate. No one crosses until we have him.
But the caravan was already moving. The lead wagon lurched forward, and the drums began, a thundering rhythm that swallowed all sound. Leto sprinted between the moving wagons, using each lurching bulk as a shield. A crate toppled where he'd been a second before. Rylan was closing, his enforcer's baton gleaming.
The docks. If I can reach the water, I might lose him. The map is moving. With the caravan, that's all that matters.
He broke from the wagon line and sprinted down the cobbled slope toward the harbor, the caravan's dust cloud blooming behind him. Ryland's boots thundered behind him, the enforcer's fury a palpable force. The chase was on. At the docks, Leto threw himself between stacks of salt-dried fish and tangled nets, the sea spray cold on his face. Ryland was too fast. A hand caught Leto's cloak and yanked him backward onto the wet stone. Leto scrambled upright, the enforcer blocking his escape. The pier stretched behind him, ending in the gray water.
You are too late, Rylan. The map is already on the road to Varusha.
Then I'll beat the location out of you and have the caravan searched at the next toll gate.
Ryland's baton cracked against Leto's ribs. He dropped to one knee, vision swimming.
Don't black out. Just a little longer. The gate. Is it closed yet? Keep him talking.
Through the arch of the harbor gate, the last wagon of the caravan rolled out of sight. The drums faded, swallowed by the morning wind. Through vision blurred by pain, Leto watched the final wagon slip beyond the city wall. A bloody smile cracked his lips. It was done. Ryland saw it too and roared, his baton swinging down again. Leto's world went black, but the ink was already dry. The truth had set sail when Leto came to. His wrists were bound with coarse rope. An enforcer was reporting to Rylan, his voice trembling. The caravan had already cleared the outer toll gate. No writ from the city guard could call it back now.
It doesn't matter. We'll drag him in chains through the market. Let everyone see what happens to those who defy the guild.
They threw a rough-spun hood over Leto's head and yanked him to his feet. The material stank of old fish and fear as they paraded him through the cobblestone streets. Leto could hear the murmurs of the crowd pressing close. A fishwife whispered to her neighbor, "That's the apprentice who found the hidden land. They say the map's already at sea."
They're already talking about it. The guild can silence me, but they can't silence gossip.
Rylan pulled the rope, forcing Leto to stumble. The enforcer's jaw was set. This parade was meant to inspire fear, not spectacle. The guild gates loomed ahead. As the iron hinges groaned open, the crowd fell silent, watching the apprentice disappear into the stone maw.
The truth is already out. I am free, even if they lock me in the dark forever.
They dragged him below, even the basement archives, into cells carved from living stone where the guild hid its most inconvenient truths. Lito's chains scraped the wet floor. The door opened without the groan of hinges. Elder Voss had ordered it oiled for effect. He stood over Leto, his crimson robes untouched by the dungeon's filth.
A crude copy on cheap parchment won't reach Verusha before my riders intercept it. Tell me who helped you duplicate the original, and I'll let you die quickly.
Leto worked his dry mouth and spat. It landed on the toe of Voss's polished boot.
I see. Then you leave me no choice. The archivist, Kira, is in the next cell. Her screams will make excellent persuasion.
For a moment, the cell was silent. Leto's chains shivered.
Her sacrifice will mean nothing if I break now. The map is already past the toll gate. I just have to endure.
You think yourself a hero. The caravan will be intercepted at the border. That map will be ashes by morning.
You can't stop the sea, Voss. The truth has already set sail.
Voss withdrew, his composure in tatters. The door slammed, but not before Leto saw a flicker of genuine fear in the elder's eyes. 3 days of silence passed in the dark. Then, distant voices rose, not the usual guard chatter, but frantic shouting that echoed through the stone. A guard, young and nervous, unlocked Leto's cell just enough to press a scrap of parchment through the bars. On it, 6 words, Verusha, received the crate. They are opening it.
It's done. The map is out. Kira, it wasn't for nothing.
In the guild hall, Elder Voss received a dispatch sealed with Verushan wax. His hand trembled as he read. The trade routes were exposed, the exploitation laid bare. The capital's monopoly was crumbling. The guild elders gathered in a panicked knot. Some argued for immediate execution of the apprentice. Others, seeing the political wind shifting, whispered caution.
Enough. The map. There's evidence of nothing if we burn the witness. Execute him before dawn. Let no one question the guild's resolve.
But the executioner, a man who had served the guild for decades, hesitated. In the torchlight, his eyes flickered toward the elders who had argued caution. The moment stretched. Voss's authority hung by a thread. The institution that had erased a continent now found it could not so easily erase the man who had exposed it. In his cell, Leto heard the bells of the guild toll an unscheduled hour, a sign of crisis. He closed his eyes and let the sound wash over him, a quiet, weary smile touching his lips.
Even if they kill me now, the truth has already broken free. I've done my part.
The morning of the execution, the sound of imperial trumpets shattered the dungeon's silence, a sound that heralded royal intervention, not death. A captain of the Imperial Guard descended the steps, his gold-trimmed armor cutting through the gloom. He carried a sealed scroll with the Emperor's own crest. He stopped before Leto's cell, broke the seal, and read the decree. By order of the Emperor, the cartographer Leto is to be released. His map has been verified as authentic.
Authentic. The Empire itself acknowledges the truth. It's over. The guild's lie is broken.
They struck his chains. When the cell door groaned open, Leto staggered into the corridor, his legs weak, the torchlight searing his eyes like a second sunrise. The harbor stretched before him, and anchored in the bay was a grand Verushan vessel, its blue sails stark against the morning sky. Whispers coursed through the gathered crowd. Voss had been arrested, but the guild's vaults sealed by imperial decree, the institution that had ruled maps for centuries, was collapsing. A Verushan official approached and placed in Leto's trembling hands a familiar canvas, his map, now bearing the signature of the Verushan prince and a single word, verified. Leto stared at the canvas, the ink that had cost so much now glorified by a foreign seal. Truth, once set sail, had returned as a liberating force.
We did it, Kira. I hope you are somewhere out there watching because the world just changed.
A guard told Leto that Kira was alive, imprisoned but spared when the imperial decree swept through. He ran to the healing ward, where she lay bandaged but breathing.
You look like you crawled through a shipwreck. Did you really get the map to Varusha?
I did, and I am sorry I couldn't save you from Rylan. I left you behind.
You did what I told you to do. You ran. And the truth escaped because of it. That's not failure. That's victory.
Leto showed her the canvas, now bearing the royal seal of Varusha. She traced the inked coastline with a trembling finger, tears spilling.
They're already calling it Aspia. The continent's name is being spoken in the streets. We did it, Leto.
Days later, Leto helped Kira walk to the harbor. They stood together, watching ships from Varusha unload goods and flags flutter in the free wind. A town crier passed, ringing a bell, his voice carrying over the crowd. By imperial decree, the continent Aspia is recognized. Trade shall commence, and the guild's monopoly is abolished.
You did it. You gave me the canvas and the courage. Without you, the map would have never sailed.
No, Leto. We did it. Together. Now the world is a little wider and a lot more honest.
In the same hall where Voss had once dismissed him, Leto now stood as a witness. The elder was dragged in chains before a packed gallery of nobles and commoners alike. Kira sat in the front row, her bandages hidden beneath a shawl, her eyes fixed on Leto as he unfolded the weatherproof canvas for the court.
This is the map I copied and the stamp you all recognize. Every cabinet in the vaults holds the same truth. The guild erased Aspia to hide its own plunder.
A murmur swept the hall. Voss strained against his chains, his composure finally shattering.
Everything I did was by the Emperor's implicit sanction. This child knows nothing of the necessities of empire.
Guards forced him to his knees. The Chief Justice silenced him with a gavel, and the charge of high treason was read. The verdict was swift, guilty. The sentence was not death, but a living exile to the dead lands to wander among the maps he had tried to bury. As Voss was taken away, Leto felt no thrill of victory, only the heavy quiet of a long battle finally over. The canvas map was returned to his hands.
You did it, Leto. Justice, at last.
Number, we did. And now, let's make sure Aspia is never erased again.
Months later, the former guild headquarters had been transformed into the Cartographers Academy. Leto, now its director, stood in the grand hall, a new coat of office on his shoulders. Before a crowd of students and dignitaries, he opened the new exhibit. At its center, a glass case held the original canvas map, the one he had hidden and nearly died for. Leto placed the canvas inside with his own hands, his fingers tracing the edge of the case before he stepped back.
It belongs to everyone now, just as you always wanted.
The plaque read, "This map proves that truth cannot be erased." Leto looked out at the sea of faces, young cartographers from every corner of the newly open world. The Academy's halls were filled with the scratch of quills and the rustle of new charts. Maps of Aspia were now standard. Kira stood beside him, her own desk now laden with recovered documents from the vaults, each one a testament to the cost of silence.
The reckoning didn't just set sail, it changed the tide. And the tide won't go back.
Together, they turned to the window, where the glass sea shimmered under a clear sky, and somewhere beyond, the continent, Aspia waited, no longer erased. Far across the glass sea, a new ship cut the waves, its bow pointed toward the continent hidden for generations. On the captain's desk lay a copy of Leto's map, the coastlines now familiar, the trade routes clear. A young cartographer traced the ink with a finger, the same way Leto once traced the forbidden original. The map was no longer contraband. It was a promise that truth endures. A promise that no guild, no empire can hold back the tide of discovery. And on the horizon, the shores of Aspia rose, green and real and waiting. Leto's words echoed in the salt air, as if carried by the wind itself. The ink is dry. The reckoning has already set sail. A new generation sailed toward the horizon, armed with maps and truth. Fade to black.